I'm happy to be up here as the now former chairman of the Gerald R. Ford Foundation. Our new chairman, Red Cavaney, we're so pleased to know that that has happened, and he will be our new leader. So that's a great thing right there. It's just going to be a wonderful evening. Many of you have been to this dinner before, and we get to honor a great individual tonight that we will do after dinner. But I just want to say before dinner, it's been an honor for me to serve the last 4 years as chairman of the Gerald R. Ford Foundation, and I can't thank enough many of the people that are in this room, many of them trustees, the ones that as soon as I became chairman, they realized, they said, we got to help that guy. And they jumped right in, and whether it be Hank Meyer or Peter Secchia or Dave Fry and the DeVos family and so many that donated their time, their effort, their money. Marty Allen, Carla Hills, gosh, all the trustees did such a great job to help keep me out of trouble, and I want to thank them all. But I want to get this evening kicked off, and we all know the next step is to bring my brother Mike up here, who does the annual prayer. Peter has limited him to I don't know what the number is and how many minutes you get, but we're going to keep it short. So, my brother Mike Ford.
All right. Thank you. So at noon today, we were at the National Press Club for the awards of journalism, the Ford Presidential Awards, and a wonderful occasion. And our recipients, I think, are here tonight and their families. But I was in the elevator with Peter Secchia, so he, of course, says, "You know, Mike, you're on the clock tonight with your prayer." And I said, "Well, I've got a long one tonight, Peter." And he said, "If you had a good connection with God, you should be able to do it quickly." So, thank you, Peter. Very good spiritual advice. But so, if you'll join me and we return thanks. Gracious God in heaven, as we commence with this special evening, an evening of recognition and celebration, we take this moment to acknowledge and honor you as the giver of all good gifts. We thank you for the gift of life, especially the lives of Jerry and Betty Ford, and for their wonderful legacy. We thank you for the gift of love and friendships shared by everyone here, those with the Ford administration, those in the Ford Foundation family. We thank you for this remarkable country, the United States of America, that we are privileged and blessed to live in and serve as citizens and caretakers of liberty and justice for all. And we ask that you bless this meal tonight and bless those who prepared it and who are serving it, that you would be present with us in our conversations around our tables, and that we would be the people of God in this place tonight and in the days to come as we seek your will for our lives. To your honor and praise we pray. Amen. Enjoy your dinner, and we have a great program after dinner. Thank you.
We've got a special little thing we want to do here, and we have a great guest here that doesn't know we're going to do this, and that would be my Uncle Dick, Dad's brother, and it is his birthday, and we have put a book together, Uncle Dick. And I'd like my sister and your Mike there, my brother Mike, to bring you up here. Come on, Uncle Dick. It's such a joy to be around Uncle Dick because I look at him and it just reminds me of Dad, and it's such a special thing. But I think we have a cake that's going to come out that we're going to have for dessert, and we have a special book here that Uncle Dick, all these people have signed about how special you are and how much you mean to us. And just come right over here, and I guess why don't you stay there, Uncle Dick, and we'll just do this right here. This is a book that all your friends and fellow trustees and have signed notes to you and how special you are to their life and our life. And it's just a joy, Uncle Dick, that every time I look at you, I see Dad, and that brings me happiness. So. Yep. Uncle Dick will be 90 years old tomorrow, and I go out, I played golf with him last year, and he almost shot his age, and he took $5 from me. I know that, so that's what I'm upset about. We got a cake here, and if you turn around, everybody in this room would like to sing happy birthday to you. Birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dick. Happy birthday to you.
I'm not the orator in the family, so thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it. Very thoughtful. I'm overcome.
Thank you. We've got birthday cake coming for everybody, and after we finish dessert, we'll have the program, and enjoy your dessert. Hope you enjoyed Uncle Dick's birthday cake. And we want to start the events for the evening for the award. And actually, before I get started, I want to say we've got several honored guests here. The head archivist for the United States government, David Ferrio, is sitting right here with us, and some of his top people, Jay Basenko and Chris Runkle, they are joining us for this evening. And David, we can't thank you enough for the relationship that you've allowed us to build with you and your staff. And Elaine went somewhere. I'm saying nice words about you. You're supposed to be in the room here. But that relationship means a lot, David. And we want win-win situations. You guys, you're the ones that put the white gloves on and make sure that we don't destroy the artifacts. And we're the ones that go out and try to raise some money to help you have the program. So we look forward to a stronger relationship, getting better and better all the time. So I thank you for being here tonight. Well, you're all here. You snuck up on me while I was there. Carla, I guess you're the one I need to bring to the microphone right now to do our ceremony.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Steve. You know, tonight, as we celebrate President Ford's remarkable legacy of leadership characterized by his strength of character, diligence, patriotism, sound judgment, and integrity, we are so very proud to present the Gerald R. Ford Medal for Distinguished Public Service to a man whose life has been a testament to these traits that we so admire in President Ford. John O. Marsh, Jr. is an astute lawyer, professor, military officer, congressman, longest-serving Secretary of the Army, National Security Advisor to then Vice President Ford, counselor to the President, and member of President Ford's cabinet. Mr. Marsh enlisted in the U.S. Army during World War II at the age of 18 and was commissioned as an officer at 19. He was elected to the House of Representatives from Virginia and served 8 years. He fought in the Vietnam War for a month, never revealing to his fellow soldiers that he was a member of Congress. When President Ford became vice president, he recruited Mr. Marsh, with whom he had worked so closely in the House Appropriations Committee, as both his personal national security advisor and his all-around counselor. And he said, and these are his words, "I knew I could rely upon his judgment. Jack was very bright, with a shrewd understanding of people and problems. He also was an indefatigable, tireless worker and tough. And he would speak up against 5 or 10 people if he thought I was doing the wrong thing." And then when President Ford became president, he asked Mr. Marsh to serve in his cabinet as counselor to the president. Years later, President Ford reflected on those early days in the Oval Office and said of Mr. Marsh, "Jack seemed to know everything about the internal workings of the White House. He would tell me who was feuding with whom, what the problems were, and he would give me his recommendations for smoothing everything out. More than anyone else, he was the man who bridged the gap between the Nixon and the Ford staffs. He had that capacity to get along well with everyone. I could take to him the worst conceivable problem to solve, and he would take care of it in his quiet, old shoe way." During those 29 months that President Ford called a time to heal, Mr. Marsh served as key advisor on a range of issues, which included transition at the end of the Ford presidency. And President Ford recalled in speaking of his last days in office, "I had promised Carter a smooth transition, and I directed my old, reliable Jack Marsh to handle our liaison with him. It went very well, and the country was better for it." Mr. Marsh continues to contribute to the Ford legacy. He was absolutely instrumental in getting the necessary approvals to having the aircraft carrier named the Gerald R. Ford. And while Secretary of Army, Mr. Marsh instituted the Army's annual theme in an effort to dispel lingering attitudes about Vietnam. And one of his themes was family. And family is perhaps his crowning achievement. Here tonight are his 3 children: Dr. Rob Marsh, former combat surgeon for the Delta Force, who currently heads the Rural Clinic in Meadowbrook, Virginia; Rebecca Marsh Whitener, placement counselor at New River Community College, Virginia; and Scott Marsh, engineering graduate and instructor, Virginia Military Institute, and attached as combat engineer to the 1st Marine Division. And with them are Mr. Marsh's 7 children, grandchildren, including Adam. The decision to name John Marsh, Jr., this year's recipient of the Gerald R. Ford Medal for Distinguished Service was unanimous. Jack, we salute you for all you've done and all you continue to do. And if I may, I'll ask Red Cavaney to read the citation. Red?
Jack, I could read the citation, and the words are wonderful. But what I'd like to do is, having been one of those people fortunate enough to serve with you, under you, and learn from you, I'd like to talk a little bit about my perspective of the kind of person you are and what you've meant to generations of those of us who not only served the president, but went on to try and live the president's ideals, your ideals, in our own lives, in our own ways. Although I'm originally from Southern California, I became an adopted Virginian long, long ago. And there's a wonderful saying in Virginia, probably the highest honor you can bestow upon a Virginian is to call somebody a quintessential Virginia gentleman. And that person is Jack Marsh. We are, as a country, been around for quite a while. We, as the state of Virginia, and the kind of people that they breed, have been along a lot longer than the country itself. And the character and values that we have all come to appreciate so much from President Ford, and it's little wonder that he and Jack became such kindred spirits in the House and for those many decades beyond, because Jack embodies the very same kind of attributes, the very same kind of characteristics that we admire so much in Jerry Ford. As a youngster in the White House, working under them, Jack was somebody who was always the calm, cool person who, when everybody else was running around wondering what's going on, Jack would be there and you'd say, Jack, what's happening? And he'd tell you in very succinct orders. And I think it's that character traits, that calmness under fire, that wonderful trust in others that drew these two men together. And I'm just very, very grateful to this day that the president coaxed Jack to come off the Hill and come down and serve in the White House. And not only the president's White House, but all those White Houses that were filled with honorable men after Jerry Ford. And Jack, you have done that in ways that I don't think anybody could have ever imagined. So we are here today to honor you with the highest form of recognition and praise that the former president and his foundation can bestow upon any individual. Jack, please come forward and accept our appreciation.
Thank you very much, Red. You know you're getting old when your grandchildren have to carry you to the platform. It's a great honor to be here, and I'm most grateful to Steve Ford and the other members of the Ford family for their role in my receiving this award. Let me extend a note of thanks to someone else. The thing that has impressed me so much about being associated with President Ford is the loyalty of the people of Grand Rapids and of Michigan to this man. That is a very remarkable thing. The White House swimming pool for the President of the United States was not built by federal money. It was built by people in this room and others from Michigan. And that loyalty has continued on since President Ford left office. I think he is one of the great unrecognized presidents of our time, And I think we still have a continuing duty to see that he receives the national and international recognition that he deserves. Don Rumsfeld, who was here, and I think whether Don's still here or not, but Don and I were what are called congressional classmates, meaning you're elected in the same class of Congress. We are members of the 88th Congress, both Republicans and Democrats. There's a loyalty that exists in those congressional classes that crosses the aisle. And Don and I ended up, and all assignments of all members of Congress who are brand new are all done the same way, by straws. You don't have any choice. And Don and I ended up in the same building, on the same floor, on the same corridor, in offices that were almost next to each other. And I came to have a very high regard for him. He was very, very tough. And as Ms. Hills in the introduction, last week I told somebody that Carla would introduce me. And I said, she's very, very smart. And he said, yes, Jack, she's also very tough. And Carla's always had that reputation, but an extremely able administrator. But when Don came back as chief of staff, I was already in the White House with the president. And he had to give me an assignment for what my task would be. And Don has all these things he does with his hands, sides, bottom, top. And he said, now, Jack, here's what we're going to do for you. This is the president's plate. He held it, and he said, it's full of garbage. It's got garbage everywhere. And he said, here's your plate. And it's clean. And what we're going to do, we'll take your plate and we'll put it up here beside the president's plate, and then we're going to scrape his plate, get rid of all the garbage. And we're going to put it all on your plate. My, what an honor. This is... I'm the presidential garbage collector. So, but actually, his position was a very sound one. In the White House, you've got to keep doing what we say, push things down. And Don said, we've got to keep pushing it down. It means get it decided at the cabinet level or the subcabinet level, but keep it off the president's desk. You see, the grains of sand that are in the hourglass are not grains of sand for the president's hourglass. The president's hourglass is filled with flecks of gold because his time is so valuable, the issues are so many, that you've got to try and take some of that load off of him. And that's what Don was doing. Was actually a very, very sound policy. Now, it seems to me what we need to do is to teach the press and the American people to count to 40. Now, in order for them to get to 40, they have got to include the number 38. President Ford was the 38th president of the United States, but so often he's omitted. Perhaps we can take the series of years that he was president that were so serious, and they were serious, and give them a name that historians do, interregnum. And interregnum is a very key word in history, and in our own experience, English-American history. You have the interregnum in England between 1650 and 1660, when Charles I lost the crown. Unfortunately, his head was in it when he lost it. he lost the crown, and Charles II was invited to come back. But that period of 10 years is called the interregnum. And it's called the interregnum because they are a key group of years that are absolutely the link between two great events, the disposition of Charles I and the reascendancy to the throne by Charles II. We have got to focus on those interim years. People do not realize that Mr. Ford had to deal with the economic situation, which was bad, the oil embargo, the incidents that were occurring in the White House called Watergate. He had to deal with the Cold War. He had a host of serious issues that in those key years, he not only dealt with them, but he provided the leadership to get through them. He was a remarkable man, and the office never changed him. Jerry Ford was the same person that came out of the presidency that went into the presidency. I'll tell you my favorite story of the Ford presidency. During the vice presidency, there was clearly an indication that President Nixon was going to have to step down. Al Haig called Vice President Ford and told him that he thought it was going to be on a particular day, on a Friday, to be alert to a call from the President of the United States, President Nixon. That morning, Mr. Ford had to attend to the award of the posthumous Medal of Honor to 7 service persons from Vietnam. I went over, we went, and he did it at the Blair House. When he came back to his office, he was sitting there. Bob Hartman was sitting there, and myself, and the three of us were talking. The phone rang. It was the president. The president wanted to see him. At about 11 o'clock, he left and went over to that meeting. He came back shortly after noon, and he remarked to Bob and me, he said, the president's going to resign tomorrow. They told me I'll be sworn in tomorrow and become president. I had an eerie feeling. There was something about that moment that here was the individual seated before you that in 24 hours would be the new president of the United States. It was an eerie sort of a feeling. It was so important. And we didn't know how things would come out. Bob Hartman said to him, then it was still Jerry business, Jerry, who do you want to swear you in? He said, I'd like for the Chief Justice to swear me in. The Chief Justice was from Michigan. And he and Mr. Ford had a very close relationship because of the statehood. So he told me, he said, Jack, get me the Chief Justice on the phone. It was those White House operators who were remarkable. She called back in just a moment and said, Mr. Marsh, the Chief Justice is not in his offices. He is attending an international conference in the Netherlands, and I will try to reach him there. I told the president and the vice president, and he said, try to get him on the phone. At about 4 o'clock, after searching all types of airline schedules, both in the Netherlands and in the United States, Al Haig called that they had an aircraft. Now, the president has 2 squadrons, an international squadron and a local squadron. He controls both squadrons. But that international squadron does not fly without the permission of the President of the United States. But Al said, tell the Chief Justice that an aircraft is departing 4 o'clock, Andrews Air Force Base. It has 2 crews. One crew to fly it over, one crew to bring it back. They will land and refuel. And if the Chief Justice is there at 7 o'clock, we think we'll be able to have him back here in time for the swearing-in ceremony. I've often thought about this. The 707 is this beautiful piece of mechanical equipment that our country produces. It's magnificent to see. It's a symbol of our country. Red, white, and blue. It's a magnificent aircraft, and it says something about us and about our country, that airplane. I've often thought, what if you were an international traveler at the Netherlands that day and said, what is that airplane and why is it here? And the explanation would be, the President of the United States has sent that aircraft here to pick up the Chief Justice of the United States, who, as Chief Justice, wrote the unanimous opinion that caused the President to resign. And it will take him back in order that he can go to Washington and, as Chief Justice, swear in the new President of the United States. And I've thought to myself many times, you know, a country that is so strong that its institutions can handle the transfer of power in that way is a remarkable country. And I've often thought about that. And you know something? When they swore in that 38th president, he became one of the greatest presidents of our time. Let's honor him more than he is honored. He deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack. It's an honor. Dad and Mom, if they were here tonight, would be very, very proud of the man who that medal hangs around his neck. So, thanks to everybody tonight, all our trustees and friends of the foundation and our special guests. David, thank you for coming and sharing this with us and your staff. And please enjoy your coffee, and if there's any dessert left and your fellowship with your table and the people around you, God bless you. Thank you guys very much.